a midnight transmission coming in. As I was laying down to rest after today, and just as all my memories of the thoughts of the day started to coalesce into um, some coherent thoughts, I feel like I would be able to share now. Or at least I feel like, as per the use when you're like digesting complex ideas, it's better to talk it out, especially since I'm making the intention to share this. I'm going to be as clear as I can about like what am I saying, or blend it all together into a clear idea. So, where does this kind of begin? I want this topic is going to be about time. Not, and maybe a little bit of time traveling thoughts. And there's going to be some, trauma talk, of course, trauma healing. Today, I took an emergency self-care trip with my daughter to the beach. And it was very nice. Had to clear my whole energy, and it was definitely worth it. So on the way back, or was it on the way back? Whatever. Well, later on, it's probably for later in the story. But so then like later on, taking my son to practice, and I was telling my daughter, you don't have school tomorrow. It's Memorial Day weekend. And she's like, "What's Memorial Day about?" And I kind of didn't know how to put in the words for her, so I mean, I was just driving, so I was just like, well, it's like a day that it's a special day for remembering certain things, or typically it's like military, right? But then she said, "Oh, I thought it was a day to remember your good memories." And children are so precious, right? And like, I'm like, that's a better way to spend it anyway, especially with like the number of bad things or shitty things that just have happened, and like especially the last couple of years, and like, and just life in general, and thinking about like good stuff is something that people talk about online, and then it gets called, and you do it too much, it's toxic positivity, because you're just bypassing what's actually wrong and just thinking happy thoughts. And like, it is actually super important to practice thinking happy thoughts. Like, it doesn't matter if it's who the fuck calls it toxic positivity. Fuck them. Be positive, because it is so easy to be negative and then just always find yourself in a spiral. Being realistic is not being negative or positive. It's just being realistic. There's a difference. And so, like, as far as that goes, is like thinking about like good memories instead of like remembering people who passed or whatever, which is important too, but it should be like, I feel like remembrance is always so somber. That's a good way to put it, right? Like, our memories are how we interpret the past, and how we interpret ourselves as current, in the current day. Compare yourself to yesterday. And then like, when I got home and relaxed, I when I got home, and relaxed. I watched Arrival because it's free on YouTube, or I don't know if it's just free for me because of YouTube Premium, but I watched Arrival, and it kind of had been popping up. You know, it was on my watch list anyway, so um, I just decided to sit down and watch it today just to relax. But on Arrival, oh yeah, it's new stuff from the beach. Of course, that's what it wants to know. I don't know if you know if you or whoever's watching this, if if you're not familiar with the plot, it's about like aliens, and a linguist has to interpret their language to figure out why they are there or why they came to visit, and uh, then she understands. Then we figure out that the language that they speak is actually like um, interprets the universe totally differently than like how our basic English, any of our basic languages could even like could manage without like a whole novel, right? Because the language of the heptapods were how you say it was the it because of their non-linear experience of time. Um, their language is an expression of that consciousness of the open-endedness of time, right? Um, or just like how time is like it's a stream, and if you're like able to get above the stream, if you can get out of your body, out of your mind, and get above the stream of time and all this, and outside of the delusion, you can. This is helping me in the trauma healing aspect as well, because it's like I've been reviewing like things that have happened to me and my reactions to them, and you know my symptoms now and like the things I have to like do to like heal these parts of myself, you know, these bad memories or just bad experiences. And then thinking about time and good memories now, because thinking about time too much, thinking about time on this like base level of understanding, it will just hurt your brain, you know. That's why like the idea of a time machine is like silly, because everything's in here and also in here. But yeah, just use your mind. It's super powerful. So like in Arrival, the language of the heptapods was like, and I can even, you know, it's like the movie is super good. That movie is just super good. I would watch it. I'm gonna watch it again. But the feelings of frustration of not being understood on both sides of the glass, right? And it was only until they, you know, really came together that they were able to like fully understand each other, understand what was going on, and use weapon, right? What is the weapon? Language, understanding, it's communication. It's not even like, I think like it was the misunderstanding of weapon as tool as well, because a tool can be a weapon, or weapon is a tool. But it's interesting that heptapods came to like help humanity so that they can help them, so we can help them in 3,000 years, yeah? And I'm always connected everything back to Aquarius United, my movement. But for right now, Like, let's bring it again into like, we time travel in our minds with our memories. We can go into our memories and go all the way back to where we were because we were there, and just fully experience that again if the memory is clear enough, or even meditate long enough on a memory to get all the sensations that were there. Um, that's something um, that's important in trauma healing. Actually, is to, at least for certain types of trauma, is to like kind of put yourself back in those shoes, or like reinterpret it, see it from your mature eyes now, and like with the with the culmination of things right now, it's like um remembering, you know, the times, and like I'm what you're seeing right now is me struggling to like make it like get rid of like the negativity impulse and like transform it into like a positive impulse instead, so that I don't have like debilitating flashbacks, but rather like you know I just don't or have way less of them, and then uh, concentrate more on the good things that are happening now, and how these good, that's what I was gonna add, how good things like are leading to more good things in my life, and then also just like how terrible things in my life have turned into good things as well, and still just like shaking my fists at the universe, like why did I have to go through some of this shit? And I didn't have to go through some of this shit because other people didn't have to inflict harm on me or themselves, um, or each other. People inflicting harm on each other. Um, People making that decision to do that is, you know, it's not, it's harmful. And, um, but yeah, like, that's important work. I think that's what the movie, or the movie and my daughter and my therapist, and my own intuition has just been like working in me, um, how to get through this like deep trauma and like actually do something about like the problems that I'm passionate about, the causes that I'm for, and getting out of like trauma response to triggers instead, and just acknowledging the trigger and just like letting it go instead, and not just falling into the complete memory of it. So I'm going to work on so I think that's like cats are a different kind of destructive. So um dealing with these like, or transforming um all of these like memories and trauma, it's been like a big like agitated kind of place for me internally, and really like dealing with you were just looking for some kind of trouble to get into, and wanting to make my mind a much better place so I can make my life a better life. And then it just carries over into, you know what? I was already it. But like rewiring my mind based on like the positivity that's in my life now, especially, recognizing that like the those are memories. It's not something that's actively happening now, and making that discernment is important. Um, Making the discernment that like, you know, I am in a better place. I am creating more, so much more happy new memories, and like, there's nothing to dwell in the past anymore because there's just too much good happening in my life. And I've been like, um, I think we've all been guilty of kind of like letting negativity get to us and not allowing us to like enjoy the present day, or feeling guilty for being free. Like I said in my last, I said that in my other videos, like too, it's like, you know, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to like be happy for yourself that you're in a better place, and and be happy that things are working out, and be happy that you're away from certain people, even though you were attached to certain people, and you like, because they were toxic, it'd break your own heart, break your own self away from it, but it was necessary for like peace and joy and all the good things, and like, and just like for integrity. And I consider myself to have a certain standard of ethics, that I like discarded to be married to whatever, but and I couldn't maintain it through the marriage because it was, it was unethical to begin with. I know the decisions I've made, and I'm not going to pretend I didn't make decisions that caused myself harm, but I'm also not going to pretend I made a decision to try to alleviate a tough situation. So I could have did better then, but I'm doing better now. And it's all part of the journey. I'm only 30. I got like, and it's funny thinking about it in perspective like that now. It's like, man, I'm really just now actually starting to live for real, right? Because you spend like the first 25 years like just trying to figure this shit out, especially if you don't have like, I mean, it's just for me because I just have like, I had to get on my guidance on my own, kind of, but and figure it out myself. I mean, that's just my path. Let's not do that. This is just my path I've been on. But but moving forward, and as I continue to move forward every day, and I'm just blessed every day and happy, and full of faith, and it's good. I'm doing stuff like, I'm not gonna get into all this stuff, but I really want to focus on like making good memories and focusing on that and recognizing that for myself, and seeing that in my children, and in my partners and my friends, you know, and even people who like I'm not even like, may not be directly around anymore, people who I'm still like in contact with, or whatever. I pray for everybody. I have compassion because I really want to see people get better. That was always my intention. And it still is. But there's definitely something to be, that is the absolute truth of like, trying to take a horse to water, but, and you can't make him drink, because people have to actually want it, be thirsty for like freedom and happiness, and that's true freedom. But freedom in your mind and soul. But don't let the freaking fascists tell you that that's all you need, because you only need it in your mind, because we also want it in real life too. getting out of the trauma way of thinking um, definitely takes a lot of like assessment of memories, and you know takes real help and support. And then once you're all the way through, you just like look at the memories that we've made these last 30 years, right? And I'm thinking about all the new, like, I'm creating new memories in my imagination. The vision of like the things I want to do now are like things I've always wanted to do. I'm actually doing them now. So that might be a totally different category. But also just like envisioning myself like always happy, you know, always having what I need, being able to get through anything. But that's just like me taking the reality and applying it to like my manifestation, right? At least my form of manifestation of just envisioning like the future I want to be in. Um, so I think I think it was just an important message my daughter had to share. Instead of like being, I don't know, whatever about Memorial Day, just remember good stuff. Just focus only on good memories. And then just always do that. That might be the answer. But the answer is certainly clear to me with her saying that and watching Arrival and like taking the time for myself and just absorbing all the synchronicities as they've been happening around me. Because like as they say, it's science. I don't know. Some YouTube thumbnail clickbait said that, but it is a science to it. And I just find it important to share this